The Cultural Revolution. Revolution, Reaction, and Reform. Edited by Ziad Abdurazik.
Now crack well-armed Chinese forces.
Introduction. Let's go back to ancient China in 1960. China was in famine and great economic deprivation. Many people lost their homes, jobs, and even families. Mao Zedong, a council leader in China, wanted to change this, so he launched what we call today the Cultural Revolution. In the mid-20th century, China went through one of the most dramatic social movements in modern history, Chinese Cultural Revolution. Revolution is not a dinner party. It cannot be done so delicately, so leisurely, so gentlemanly and gently, kindly, politely, and modestly. Revolution is insurrection, the violent action of one class overthrowing the power of
Except
another.
for national holidays,
Mao
and a wage at the end of the year of between 100 and 200
Beginning in
pounds.
1966 and ending in 1976, the revolution was launched by Mao Zedong, the leader of the Chinese Communist Party. The common goal was to preserve communist ideology by removing capitalist, traditional, and counter-revolutionary elements of Chinese society. However, what began as a political campaign quickly turned into chaos. Schools closed, families were torn apart, artifacts were destroyed, and millions of people were persecuted. Young people, known as the Red Guards, were encouraged to challenge authority and attack anyone seen as disloyal to Mao's ideas. Causes. The Cultural Revolution was driven primarily by political power struggles. After the failure of Mao's earlier campaign, the Great Leap Forward, China suffered massive famine and economic collapse. As a result, Mao lost influence within the Communist Party while a more moderate leader gained power. Mao was deeply worried about the rise of revisionism, especially after the Soviet Union rejected Stalinism and pursued more moderate policies, which Mao saw as a betrayal of communism. To get his dominance back, Mao used the youth of the Chinese to encourage them to go against old ideas. These would later become known as the Red Guards. Fearing that China was moving away from true communism, Mao wanted to reassert his control. Propaganda. Propaganda was one of the most important tools used during the Cultural Revolution to control how people thought and acted. The government spread Mao Zedong's ideas everywhere through posters, songs, and newspapers. Here is one melodious song cover that was played about Mao, Red Sun in the Sky. Mao's image was shown as powerful and heroic, which many people view him as someone who cannot be questioned. The little red book, filled with Mao's quotes, became a symbol of loyalty and was read in schools, workplaces, and public rallies. Propaganda also created fear, because anyone who disagreed with the messages risked being punished or labeled an enemy of the revolution. Fear. The Cultural Revolution left a lasting sense of fear in the people of China. Even after the most violent years ended, many citizens were afraid to speak their opinions or trust others because anyone could have been accused of being disloyal. Families were often divided, and friends or neighbors sometimes reported each other to authorities. People remembered the punishments, public humiliations, and arrests that happened to those who were accused, which made them cautious for years. This affected daily life from how people talked to each other to how they behaved in schools and workplaces. Many people carried the memories of this fear. Impact. The Cultural Revolution had a huge impact on the lives of ordinary people in China. Schools and universities were closed or turned into places for political training instead of learning. Millions of families were affected as parents, teachers, and neighbors were accused of being enemies of the revolution and sometimes punished or sent to labor camps. Many people lost their jobs, their property, or even their homes. Children and teenagers were forced to join red card groups, which changed family relationships and created fear between friends and relatives. Events and actions. Once the Cultural Revolution began, chaos spread rapidly throughout China. Red Guards, mostly teenagers and young adults, were encouraged to publicly humiliate teachers, officials, and even family members. People were accused of being counter revolutionaries for owning books, practicing religion, or questioning authority. Rival Red Guard factions began fighting each other, leading to armed clashes in many cities. By 1967, local governments collapsed in many regions and revolutionary committees replaced traditional authority. Effects and consequences. The consequences of the Cultural Revolution were devastating. Millions of people were displaced, imprisoned, or killed, and countless families were permanently scarred. China's economy stagnated, scientific research slowed, and society's trust collapsed. Intellectuals and professionals were targeted, creating a long term shortage of skilled workers. Politically, the Chinese government admitted that the Cultural Revolution was a mistake. It became a lesson about the dangers of unchecked powers, extreme ideology, and mass manipulation. Education systems timeline. May 16, 1966. August 8, 1966. August 18, 1966. Late 1966 fall. January 1967. July 1967. 1968 spring to summer. December 1968. September 9th, 1976. September 13th, 1971. Conclusion. The Chinese Cultural Revolution stands as a powerful reminder of how ideology, when taken to extremes, can devastate an entire nation. What was intended to strengthen communism instead caused suffering and cultural destruction. Understanding the Cultural Revolution is important not only for learning Chinese history, but for recognizing the warning signs of political extremism everywhere. It shows how propaganda, fear, and blind loyalty can override reason and humanity. Today, the Cultural Revolution is a sensitive topic in China, but its lessons are universal. By studying this period, we honor those who suffer. Thank you.